Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the E-Tims podcast. My name is Desi and I am very glad to say at the moment I have been joined by our resident tactician, the man in the suburbs, Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Hi, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Thank you for finally joining. I'll allow our global ambassador, our finance director, Monty C. Burns. Good evening, Monty.
Evening, Desi. Evening,
What
lads.
was the exact phrase you were using for us trying to join this call a second ago? Could you clarify it?
Daft old technophobe cunts.
Daft.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Welcome to the daft old technophobe cunt, and I'm still like to say that should not be plural because it was only Hector who could not join this call. But thankfully we're here. We've managed it again. A bit like other people we're going to come to tonight, we have finally managed to get back to where we should be. So there we are. So thank you very much, gents, for joining, and of course, Ralph Mouth may join. We never know. He tells us he always will join and then he disappears. So if he turns up, fantastic. If he doesn't, it's no surprise. Once again, folks, thanks very much for listening in. Thank you for all your kind comments. Thanks for the likes and subscribe. Please keep doing it wherever you can. Any new joiners, always a pleasure, especially when we hear your comments. Always good to get some feedback. So much to talk about, right? So much to talk about. We're just it's the 7th of February, but obviously we've closed the January window. We're going to go to that, but we'll jump back. Hector, we always like to jump back a little bit to where we left off. So I think we left off last time with the shock or the wee kind of bittersweet feeling of Kyogo leaving for a new adventure in France. And then we were looking at facing Aston Villa, Hector, in sunny Birmingham. I had a lovely time in sunny Birmingham. God bless it. And again, I seen you put up a tweet, Hector, this saying it was what it was. The better team won.
Yes.
Any thoughts? Any like to expand on that at all?
Well, before the game, it wouldn't have been a surprise. I think we all had various conversations. We've seen our team missing. I know Kyogo had been sold, but the other 7 games, you'd him, you'd Dyson, who was suspended, and you'd Carter Vickers. So you'd 3 of our best 11 players unavailable. I think anybody, even the most optimistic of supporters, looking at Monty here, I think most fans would have thought, look, they'll probably beat us here with a couple of goals. And certainly after the first 5 minutes, it looked as if it had Borussia Dortmund away all over it again. So I think missing some key players, which for us, we've not got a massive squad with the same level of quality. But to come back in the first half and come back and play some really good football, and the 2 goals we scored, I thought were excellent. But as the second half wore on, I think you can see the difference. Their bench, they brought players on, and their bench was actually quite kind of thin in quality, wasn't it? There was a couple of young guys come on. Yang started, obviously, and try to be kind here, but he's clearly way below the level that we need.
I have warned you, Hector. I have warned you that James, that sits beside me and the seat behind me at Celtic Park, has commented Hector's getting hell of a soft in his granddad days. So come on, yes. Don't start this. Yang tries his best. If you've got something to say it.
He's just not good enough. He's not good enough, is he? Do you know what? I think we've become more patient because we're winning, right? See if it was about this time last year when it was, remember, at Christmas time, New Year, I think we've been far more critical. But because the team's so far in front in the league, they've done well in the Champions League, I think our criticism's no as bad. But if we're being brutally honest, he's a waste of a shirt, Desi, isn't he? Really?
Well, I'll throw that over the fence to Monty. Monty, is there a player in there?
No.
First time ever, folks. You heard it here.
He's got all the attributes of a modern winger. He's touching 6 foot. He's physical. He's fast. He does. I think he's just got a crisis of confidence. I think he's a young player who probably feels out of his depth. I think Celtic's probably too big a club for him right now. But, you know, you look at Bio, that boy, he went down to England and was fucking scoring worldies every second week.
Superstar.
Said it, his player. No, I just think Celtic's too big for him, Desi, as a club. And I don't mean that in any negative way. About him as an individual, at this point in time, for a 21, 22-year-old young man from that culture, this is just too big for him.
I think that's a perfect summation, Monty. I salute your consideration. Honestly, that is a perfect way of summing it up. Like, your guy obviously tries his best. He obviously is applying himself in training to catch Brendan's eye and getting a goal.
And he's better than Lewis Palmer. There you go, Desi. He's better than Lewis Palmer. There you go.
No, I was going to say, but what you can someone compare. We're getting ahead of ourselves, and apologies, folks, for listening. We always do this. I know. I actually do have agendas for these meetings, and they just go right.
Apologise to Nay Cunt, Desi. Apologise to Nay Cunt.
Right, George, for listening. I'm sorry, George. Right, so now what I was going to say. Somebody had the cheek or just the honesty to post the other day that in one and a half games or 1 1/4 games, Jota has now got better stats than Yang. You know what I mean? But that's a player who is worth 25 million. I mean, that's the difference. So let's be.
And he's not fit. He's not fit. No.
It's all that hair. I mean, it's all and he's waiting for that. But yeah, but that's the comparison, isn't it? And that's the Brendan argument which we're going to come to when we discuss the transfer window. You can buy class, and class will deliver. You know what I mean? Rather than a punt, you can class will deliver. But that's right. So that was Villa. I'd just like to say, if anybody was doing it at Birmingham, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Me, my daughter, and my nephews, we had a really good time. A really nice place. I don't care. I don't know why people down-cry it. I thought it was a really nice place. Good wee time in the Briar Rose Weatherspoons, and it turned. So we're in a Weatherspoons, and my pal's daughter came to meet us, Hector, and she said she's at drama school down there, and she says, "Oh, this is the posh Weatherspoons." Right, so that might be scary because it had a hotel on top of it. So that might tell you the sort of place Birmingham is. It's got a posh Weatherspoons and a rough Weatherspoons. But then I'd enjoyed have been on the Black Sabbath Bridge. I posted that to Dominic Diamond the other day. That was a nice wee touch. If you're ever in Birmingham, you'll see the big mechanical bull inside the station. That's also called Ozzy in tribute to Ozzy Osbourne. So nice wee touches here and there. Broad Street, if you're young and you like, well, again, Hector, you like a bit of faithless and that these days at the football. If you want some fun times, Broad Street is the place for the young ravers.
Desi, just be clear here, Desi. I am not going to fucking Birmingham, right? It's a hole. You can talk for 10 minutes about it.
Listen, mate, at the end of this podcast, we're going to come to a certain hole that you love, but we'll come to that at the end, right?
Right, okay.
Don't worry.
So you're a family podcast.
So again, folks, this is like, would I lie to you? The two contestants don't know the cards that are in front of me, the ones I'm reading off here, so they'll get as much a surprise as you do. So we'll come to a hole at the end, Hector, and we'll see your thoughts. So Broad Street, that was good. Cracking pizza and good old rubies. So if anybody's gone to Birmingham, it's a cracking place for at least a day and a half. And one for Monty, it's got the world's biggest Primark, as you would like to say, the world's biggest 4 gigantic floors. But apparently it's mental. I wasn't in it, but apparently it's mental. Right, so that was Villa. I've got Villa gets Real or Villa gets Real on my line here, Monty. So Villa, but that was a cherry on top. We'd already qualified. Then we get Bayern, so we'll come to that Bayern conversation. The draw was done, lovely. We got Bayern instead of Madrid, which I think was better. And then it was Motherwell, managerless Motherwell, Monty, with a certain person being named on the bench.
Yeah, it was kind of overshadowed, I guess, by that particular signing in the window, or that particular trade, as Jock Brown would have called it back in the day. We were very good at Fir Park for every bit that Stevie Frail had them kind of just hoping they'd get a draw. Like the lack of ambition, even in it fucking break your heart sometimes thinking that these boys are making 200, 300, 400 grand a year in Scottish football as coaches to set a team up in the hope that they just won't get beat. It's fucking terrible stuff. It's like I could rant about it. I know I ranted at the time when Kennedy took over when Lennon left. That was his audition for the job, but he did fuck all. He just kept things running. Anyway, we were good on the day, Desi, and the script was set. You just knew that that's the way it was going to finish. And that outpouring of emotion at the end, I think, no reason to doubt that it was genuine. But, with the cynic's hat on, Desi, the young fella left 2 years ago, picked up millions for 2 years of grief. He's come back now financially set for life to a place that he feels loved. So taking away the cynicism on the money that he's made, he now knows what it's like not to be liked at football clubs and for fans not to like him and for fans not to really be supportive of him or to be at clubs. He had a lovely phrase, Desi, the week he joined. He says, I needed to come back somewhere that felt like home, somewhere that had a soul. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really powerful, Desi, because he's obviously a very intelligent young man. Well, a very wealthy, intelligent, and good-looking young man with fine hair. But I think we could really, really get to see like a fucking player at the peak of his powers and wanting to stay at Celtic in a way that we maybe haven't done without getting too hyperbolic, in a way that we haven't done since Larson, Desi. He has it all, and he's no reason to move. He's no desire to move now. Why would he want to move? What for? Yeah. So wonderful. But to tie it back to first part, I thought we were good on the day. No. Should have scored 10, but the finish was just beautiful, Desi.
Exactly right. So let's continue with that. The plan was to, but he just reminded me of various other things. But it's a very good point to hold Jota. Jota comes back, and I'll stick with you, Monty, for now because I want to come on to Hector for something specific. Like Jota, we just talked about Yang there. Yang's been in the place for a couple of seasons, and Jota turns up for 20 minutes like he's never been away. That way. And it's that slotting in, as you say, the whole feeling loved bit. You can see like being welcomed back. It's not as if Billy Big Boss has turned up and I've been to the big smoke or I've earned my millions. Know what I mean? And I'm coming back to deal with the minions. But interesting you said there about feeling somebody loved, but you've also got that manager aspect. I mean, like everybody still, a lot of people still suspect that they signed around Jota for 25 million. You know what I mean? There was 3 players called Jota at the time, and they picked up. And then when he goes to France, the manager goes, "I'm not playing wingers. I don't like wingers." You know that way. But suddenly Brendan's there,
and then he comes to us, and a week later, Sampaoli gets fucking sacked when they bring in a manager who plays wingers. So sometimes, Desi, as I get older and uglier, and I'm getting both at the same time, sometimes you kind of realize that the universe just tees things up for you. There's no point in fighting it. You just go with it. And I think for him, everything's lined up, Desi. And ironically for Peter and the board, they've effectively been paid $7 million to take Jota and put him on a 2-year sabbatical when you take into account all the fees that were paid and the money that we made. So, I think it's great to see him back. I thought Kuhn, we'll come on to Kuhn later, I guess, in the context of last night's game or Wednesday night's game. But it'll be interesting to see what Kuhn's reaction is now because
exactly. So coming out right. So Hector, we need to talk about this. I didn't even have it in my notes because I think I'd probably try to blank out my mind. Chris Boyd, Aidan McGeady, what a pair of cunts. Discuss.
It's a bit disappointing, wasn't it, really? Not for Boyd. He is what he is. We don't really waste much time on him. McGeady was really quite disappointing because it was basically on full time. And obviously Jota came back, scored the last kick of the game. It was an emotional moment with himself. He wasn't if you look at the footage, he wasn't amongst his teammates. It was as he walked back, his head down, and then into his own half for the Motherwell taking the kick-off again after the goal. It was himself and the camera zoomed in on him, his head down at his shirt. It was a private moment. He wasn't doing it publicly with the fans and his teammates. It was actually a private moment he had. And then for McGeady, and obviously it was a what's her face in Sky, who's quite good, I think. Is it Elid Barber? He kind of mentioned him, emotional moment for him, and he went, well, I don't know word for word what he said.
No for me.
Not for me.
trying, not for me.
Just the way you said it, right? And it was like, why do you even have to say that? Why? What's the point of you saying that? Does it make you a bigger man? Be saying that? I mean, McGeady, like Jota, he played for Celtic as a winger. Like Jota, gets sold for a lot of money early in his career. But unlike Jota, never come back to Celtic, although no doubt he probably wanted to, just cards never fell for him. But he's a Celtic supporter, and you'd have thought, if somebody would show a bit of empathy and understanding to a Celtic supporter, but it just came across as quite to be honest, quite a nasty wee piece of work. They said that.
That's snide.
Sorry,
that's snide comment, Hector.
We don't like to talk bad about anyone, never mind our own. When I say our own, I mean Celtic supporters. But a guy who's played the game at the highest level, wasn't a winger, was exciting, gets the adulation, and part of it almost was a wee bit as if there's a bit of envy there.
Aye.
And he's that as if that should have been me. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I mean, that's the point, to say the least.
No, if you've seen, or Desi, if you've seen any of McGeady's, he's being interviewed by the likes of Slaney and people like that post-career. And that's the way he comes across. Snide and sarcastic, that's his humour. And I think that was out of him, and then he realised, fuck, I'm live on TV. And he tried to kind of backtrack from it. But by that stage that I was cast, it was out there. Because I remember too, maybe not the sharpest tools in the box, but I totally agree. I think a little bit of maybe professional jealousy, a little bit of resentment. Mm-hmm. And then that cultural aspect too, fucking... Didn't Strachan have a lot of problems with McGeady and so did Lennon, around attitude and too cocky.
And Boris tried to punch him in the dressing room, didn't he? Or he did punch him or something like that, right?
One of them punched him, I believe. One of them had a dig. So, yeah. But yeah, and it's not about like who the fuck are we? We're far from snowflakes, but it's just have a bit of class.
Yeah.
The other guy's just a clown. We know that. If it was a Rangers player, he'd be telling you it was wonderful. But we know that that's Boyd's shtick. But for McGeady to come out with it and tee it up,
yeah, but again, we're not going to dwell, especially on Chris Boyd. But when you've got a mental health charity, it's maybe not the best. You're maybe not the best ambassador at that point, right? So Hector, this is why I wanted to come to you. So that brings us up to like how do I sum this up? This brings us up to one of those. I was there on a cold Glasgow night. What a showing in the old East End. Bang, 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 bang. To start to finish. Right, Hector, tell us, what was it? I know you were there. Tell us, what was it like to see the Bluebells at the Barrowlands?
Hi. Well, Desi, you know how some of us like to mingle with the normal punters, right?
Yes, that's sorry.
People like to mingle with the West End lobbies, right? And let's just leave it at that. But yeah, the Bluebells were first class. I had a lovely day in the town with my missus and some family was there as well. We went down to the gig, and do you know what was interesting? The gig itself was great. They were spot on, right? But it wasn't until the next day we were talking about it, and maybe it's an age thing. Like I said, is that one of the kind of best audiences you've ever been to a gig with at the Barrowlands? You know what I mean? Everybody was just into it, as you'd expect, but there was no bam pottery. There was no me 30 years ago fucking annoying the life out of people, and it was just a cracking gig. They were on spot, and I don't know about you, but I thought it was a really good gig. I really enjoyed it.
Great. I was almost saying to Justin Curry and Muriel Gray next to me
here we go.
But thankfully they left me alone, so that was not too bad.
Neil Lennon, leaving on with Neil Lennon, did they?
Neil, yeah, what a laughing. Monty knows my very best friend Billy, who's a diehard punt. So Neil Lennon walks in, and the guy starts going, Neil, and I'm walking behind Neil Lennon, right? It wasn't me, but I'm walking behind Neil Lennon, and my pal Billy's leaning against the column, just to the right hand side of the Barrowlands. And Neil Lennon, I swear to God, Monty, he just stops right at Billy, but Billy's staring at the Bluebells, watching the Bluebells, and I'm going, please look, but he missed it, right? And I'm like, but Neil's walked on, and the wee guys grabbed him for a photo and a quick wee chat, but he's literally 2 feet away from us. My pal Billy, the Rangers fans, oblivious, and I'm like, you see your mate there? He hates Lennon, right? You see your mate there, and he's like, who? And I went, Neil. So he's like,
Oh,
fucking but I don't have the left. He was absolutely raging. Anyway, right. So obviously I'm not talking about Bluebells, but well done to the celeb, E-Tim Celeb Celt of the Year, Bobby Bluebell and all the guys. That was fantastic.
Well, he did ask
Yes.
us on Sunday. He did ask us in the Twitter chat about he was expecting to
Right.
get his Fan of the
He's
Year
a what?
award. But listen, he never called us to the stage. We were all
Exactly.
prepared to hand it over with the speech made out and everything, but wasn't to be, Desi.
Exactly. Maybe the next one we did offer, but he didn't take us away. He didn't give us that invite. And I wasn't in the Sarri Heat. I'm usually in the Sarri Heat before the Barlands gigs, but I never made it this time, so we didn't have time. Right, but obviously we're not talking about that the other night. What we're talking about is he's back. The superstar Hector, the smile, the hair, finally back at Paradise. Big Paul Lyons, the man with the broken back. The first time he returned to Celtic Park the other night. What a joyous achievement. That's bigger than Jota turning back up at Celtic Park, isn't it?
He's another one of our favourites online. You know, sometimes a lot of the various online apps, rightly so, get a bad rep, but I think you get people like Paul, and you mentioned Bobby there for the Bluebells and others. They're what make it good, you know, and they're just genuinely good people that help other people out, and they go through like Paul in particular goes through a bad time, and you know his positivity, it's always there, isn't it? And I think he'd be brightening up a kind of darkened room. So it was great that he was back at the game for the first time in a while in midweek.
Yep. And he was also back. We'll come to the Dundee game in a second. Thanks for bearing with us, folks. But he was also back in Glasgow Central the other day. I believe he does the Glasgow Central tours. So he's hoping to get back to work very soon. So very best of luck, Big Paul, if you're listening. Our E-Tim, our online Celt of the Year, our fan of the year. So well done there. So that brings us to Dundee game the other night, Hector. And as our resident tactician, I am going to give you the floor to say anything you want on the wonder that was that game the other night, because this ticked so many football boxes for me.
Well, I'll take 10 seconds. First half, basically. First half was Dundee just taking up to a minute to take a throw in, Desi, right? And the ref, who looks like a fucking... I'll watch what I'm going to say. I won't.
All right, Chris Boyd,
I'll leave it at that. But he looks like something a little bit unusual. Let's leave it at that, right? But the first half was 2-0. With them just killing the game. We got a rhythm going. It was 30 seconds to a minute to a throw in a goal kick. Referee was a prawn. But anyway, somehow it was 2-0 at half time. Anyway, get out of the way. Second half, after about 50 odd minutes, it was weird because Jota wasn't getting fed the ball at the start of the second half. It's quite weird. I'm going, why is he not getting included? And the first time he gets played out wide to him, cuts in. It's a beautiful cross to the back post. And there's our Celt of the Year, right? Diving, Maeda, just bullet head up. His second bullet head on 2 games, diving in, bang. And see when that went in, 3-0, 55 minutes or something, game's done. Then it was just, right, here we go. So 2 things happen. Either it becomes a practice training session, keep ball, nothing happens, or let's go. And thankfully for us on Wednesday night, it was let's go. And it led to the 4th goal. And we must have all watched it. If you haven't seen the 4th goal, folks, get it seen. But I've watched it numerous times. Sometimes you get this goal where you get a 25-yard or 30-yard rock in the top corner, and everyone goes, what a goal. This had both. This had us having possession at our own defensive corner flag. I think it was Jota that won it. Jota to Rio to Taylor, 1 touch. Rio, fancy feet, 2-3 touches. Then it was over to Calmac, wasn't it? Calmac to Alistair Johnson, over to Arnie Engels. Then Arnie Engels has got this over the last number of games now. He's really found his feet in terms of hitting these 30, 40 kind of curved passes. He did one at Fir Park for the final goal that Dyson squared for Jota. And he played this ball. Dundee player tried to get it, and there's Dyson tipping the keeper from pretty much 18 to 20 yards out. And it's one of those goals, I think I'd put a wee message out on Twitter, is that sometimes this stadium, there's a kind of deep intake of breath, then this enormous roar comes out, and it just takes it up several levels. And that's what happened on Wednesday night. It was like, I was there, moment to see one of the finest goals I think I've seen. I don't know how long. It was that good.
Yeah.
It was that good.
So have you finally apologised for no mentioning Taylor when you described the goal on Twitter?
I never mentioned Alistair Johnston either. You know what I mean? I never mentioned Johnston. Bear in mind, I'm at the game. What do you want? I might fucking
No excuse.
pause
There's no
the
excuse.
screen.
There's no excuse. A guy went mental. What about Taylor? What about Taylor?
I never mentioned Johnston either. What? Okay, anyway, by the way, and obviously, so if anyone hasn't seen it, and hopefully everyone's seen it numerous times by now, it's one of those goals I think you'll watch and watch and watch again. But then the fifth goal and the sixth goal were just, it was just great. It was, the second half was great to see. There was sort of cavalier, carefree, here we go. I think Jota coming back, and then the energy's raised a wee bit and everything else. It was a feel good second half, Desi, yeah.
Right, I tweeted, and I'll come to you in a second, Monty, but this is your thoughts on quickly on this. Hector, I tweeted, we're 72 hours maximum away before someone says there's a buzz about the place. I mean, it's that feeling, isn't it? But in fact, I'll come to you, Monty. That ties in what you were asking earlier about Kuhn, right? So I've got here Kyogo, who, right? Jota, Kuhn, and Maeda. It's like having heroes, celebrations, and after eights all in the one box. How sweet can it get for Celtic fans?
Well, you want to add another one to that. You obviously want 4 effective wingers, given that Maeda is also our sort of fallback centre forward as well, Desi. We are spoiled now in terms of starting 2. I don't share Hector's enthusiasm for writing Palma completely off. I thought he was reasonably effective. Yang, as we talked about, probably just doesn't have it to make it. So we're probably still one late if you're Brenton. But I think Perm 2 out of 3 in that, Desi, or alternatively, if you're looking for pure pace in the centre forward position, Kuhn, Jota with Maeda centre forward. Oh fuck. There's some speed there and trickery as well. So we're spoiled at the minute. And all 3 of those players are arguably 20 million plus players. So again, it's kudos to the board kudos to the football department for finding the players and the board for backing the signing.
Yeah, right.
Can I ask you though, Desi, on it? Outside of, I'm trying to think in recent times, like under Rodgers we had Scott Sinclair, really, as a sort of superstar winger. Even then he wasn't really a winger. When's the last time we were as blessed with talent in the wide positions? Can you remember?
Steve Guppy, he was a good member.
Effective, not glamorous.
He could send that across. Well, Hector's my resident tactician.
Brendan's first season, you mentioned Scott Sinclair, who was dynamic. Paddy Roberts was really good that season. Right. And that seemed to just raise James's game, having competition with Paddy. And that's the thing a lot of people maybe forget. They go, well, who do you drop? No. It's not about who do you drop. It's about competition for places gets the best out of players and the best for the club. And you see that because I thought Kuhn looked unhappy.
He fucking did on Wednesday night.
Aye. And he thought, I've got a fucking point to prove here.
Yeah.
And he did. And I think people, you want folk to go, fuck me, I've got to be on my game all the time. That's competition for places at its purest level. Yep. And I think you're right. We tried to get this young Norwegian winger in, which I think's probably about a forward planning. We did last year. We couldn't come in with the expectation, hate to say it, but Kuhn, for example, may get sold in the summer if we get a silly offer, right? And I get that. But I think you're right. We need 4, 2 and 2, because Dyson can also play through the middle with that pace he's got for now. But can I give a special mention, right? Yep. To Adam Ida.
Right, sorry, Hector, right, so I'll come straight back to you, because that's literally my next point. I've got here, Adam Ida stepping up, show the lads some goddamn respect, right? That was my bullet points. So carry on. So I think that's a perfect timing to highlight
it was just obviously he'd had a bit of a tough period. I think it was a dozen games without a goal, and most of those games he's coming on with 20 minutes to go for Kyogo, with the rest start in and out of the team. And it was getting a bit of criticism because, what football fans are like, many football fans, not all, terms of short memories, as if he's 4 or 5 months this time last year didn't happen. You know, when he scored the winner in the cup final, when he scored the vital goal at Ibrox to the third goal, when he scored the 2 penalties at Easter Road to get 3 points, the 2 goals at Fir Park, as if that didn't happen. I just fucking, anyway. So he's going through a difficult time. It's amazing how when Kyogo gets sold, I don't know whether it's just released stress and pressure off him. Now he's thinking, I'm the man now. You know, Monty, you mentioned confidence. He looks like a confidence player. Most players are, but you know, some are really desperately missing confidence. And I just felt with the Villa Park performance, he was first class. I thought Fir Park, he was excellent again. And even during the week against Dundee, wasn't he overly involved, but his finish was a tremendous finish. You know, that kind of half volley at the top of the net. So for him to get, 4 goals in 3 games since Kyogo's left? He started all 3 games. We know there definitely is a player there. He's demonstrated to it as often enough.
Yeah.
But there's a potential for growth with him and improvement. I think there's still quite a lot to come. And I'm just hoping he's on this confidence wave that he's going to carry now, hopefully for the next few months to the end of the season.
Right. So Monty, this is I wrote here, right, show him some goddamn respect, because we'll come on to the transfer window specifically very soon. But what's kind of annoyed me is people immediately going, we should have signed a big price striker. And I kept tweeting people going, either is your big price striker. It was £9 million, as Hector said there. People were just dissing him and dismissing him. And you're kind of going, there's your big price. It's right in front of you. Just don't mean like people need to see the next big thing, rather than going, wait a minute, this is that guy's chance. And by God, he's taking his chance.
Yeah. And there's a piece in it too, Desi, around, Hector just alluded to forward planning. The notion of, you know, 2 £10 million strikers, knowing that that's your peak, how do you keep both of them happy? So the profile that we're supposedly looking at between Kvistgaard and then little jungle drums beating in the background around Edouard doing a Tierney and coming back for free, but that's unlikely, I don't think. We probably want someone, we want Ida to stand up and, like, he's hit 4 goals in a week. It's not a bad return for a striker. You know, 2 of them against an English Premier League team in the Champions League. So confidence, as Hector said, flowing through him. Took a bit of a knock. I don't know if you noticed on Wednesday night. There was a point through the back. And he was holding the middle of his back. It was like he twisted awkwardly. So hopefully nothing too immobilising. But we do need another quality centre forward. We're just blessed that we've got Maeda and he can play that position, Desi, albeit in a very, very different way. I'm still intrigued by Kyogo flitting mid-season to a club like Rennes, who clearly were in turmoil. It's a really, really strange one, but obviously he wanted to go. And, you know, I think we've learned our lessons the last time with Dembele and Brenton. You know, if a player wants to go, you let him go.
Yeah. Again, we'll not dwell on the Kyogo thing. We don't know if it was that the structure of the deal, i.e. there's 10 million straight away cash. We'll take him, thanks. We'll put him on and we'll wear him home. Idea. They won at the weekend, so best of luck to Kyogo. But looking forward from your perspective, as I say, I really like Adamida. Maybe he'll play at the weekend in the cup, and then next week we'll see what happens against Bayern. But I assume he'll be leading the line. And again, Brendan says he's not who is a Larson bar Larson kind of thing. He's not going to dribble it round by 4 people and chip the keeper, but he'll put that big toe in where it needs to be. And like Aston Villa, he knows where to be. You know
the thing is just sparked in my head too, because I was going to ask a question, and I think I had the answer already in the back of my head because I remember something else. Is there a Scottish striker that you would sign, either proven or on the way up, that could come into Celtic and challenge Ida? That was the first part of the question that you could think of. And the second part of the question then answered something that I think we were debating on the WhatsApp. I see Cummings hasn't actually signed that pre-contract with West Ham. He's agreed it, but he hasn't signed it. So apparently that guy who shafted Lopetegui, the German guy, West Ham sacked him after Potter came in. Potter went, you can get him the fuck, the director of football operations or whatever he was. He was the one all over the deal for Cummings. He's gone now. So apparently West Ham will put Jared Bowen or somebody who played for them before, Mark Noble, They put him in charge temporary, and they're asking Mark Noble to convince Daniel Cummings to sign pre-contract. So I'm wondering, with all of that noise, because you look at what Ange is doing under, well, he's no choice with Spurs. He's having to play kids, and the kids are by and large stepping up. I'm wondering, has Celtic taken a decision, and Brendan's going along with this here, right? If you stay, you're in the first team squad now, which breaks all of his own rules or improving. Hard to read, Desi, but I couldn't think, sorry, on the first question, I'm rambling. I couldn't think of another Scottish striker that we would sign who would come to Celtic to push that. Couldn't think of one.
The only interesting one I thought during the week, well, during the window, but we'll come to the window, was the Irish boy's name? I was going to say Ferguson. What's the
Evan Ferguson, the one who went to West Ham?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the only one I was liking. But again, this back to the Ida thing. Really looking forward to him kicking on even further. I think the whole point of being able to start games is a big, massive difference with having to come on and prove against a guy who's just ran for 70 minutes and created a goal or scored a goal. There's some difference, right? So that's Ida. So well done, Ida. Maeda, we can talk about all day long, but we'll move on to our players. Hector, I've got a knock-knock joke for you in the classic E-Tim style. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Matt O'Reilly.
Matt O'Reilly? Who?
Have you seen fucking Arnie Engels lately?
Daisy, why do supporters no listen and have patience? Sorry, not all supporters, but there's just a group, isn't there? Where they can't wait to just jump on.
Sorry, Hector, do you remember Jake? Remember Jake? E-Tim's back in the day.
How do you forget Jake? Jake's a
no,
legend.
Exactly, but Jake's quote was always, Celtic fans are always are only happy when they're moaning. I mean, like, we're only happy when it rains. Classic Scottish attitude.
There's a group of them, right? But it's like Engels is a prime example. And you're not actually referencing something 10 years ago. What I mean by that is, it was a Kuhn last January, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Bernardo last summer. And it was like, by Christmas, he's rotten. Then lo and behold, Bernardo demonstrates he's a young player improving, and he's going to be a very, very good player for Celtic. You look at Kuhn in January, pre-season goes back, and he's been dynamite, and you just think with people, you can tell quite clearly with a player the way they take the ball, the way the presence they have on the pitch, the way they pass the ball, yada yada. And you can see that with Engels immediately, right? But like any young player changing country, there's a dip.
Yeah.
And he had a dip for maybe about 3, 4, 5 games. You get a second win, then off he's went again. And he's just going to be fucking incredible. All I would say is make the most of him over the next 18 months. Because he's just going to be an incredible football player.
Yeah, like even the other day, the Get German Football on Twitter tweeted that Stuttgart are looking at 25 million for a midfielder to challenge their new other 2 midfielders. And I just wrote, Arnie says no. I mean, because you just know that he's the sort of guy that teams throughout Europe are going, not even your EPL, European teams are going to look at him and go, that's a modern footballer. I mean, that guy, he's running about. I know we talk about Maiden's energy and that and all, but Engels is also finding, Monty, his ability to see the whole games out at that level, not just a spot here and there.
And I think there's a physical and a mental aspect to that growth, as well as there's the professional aspect to it, Desi. They're being coached now we've always talked about Rodgers, they're being coached by an elite level coach. They're being taught the values of a club that, a draw is a fucking catastrophe, which is very, very rare. Engels talked about that during the week as well. I don't know if you've seen it. That mentality was one of the things that attracted him to Celtic. Going into a club where the demand is that you have to win, you have to win. And he sees that as a growth sort of trajectory for himself. And then the physical aspect of it too, Desi, Hector alluded to, young boy, new country, speaks decent English, to be fair, but new culture, new country, completely alien surroundings to what he's used to. You peak with the spurt and then you drop. So it's good. I think I flicked up on our WhatsApp too, Desi, just one of the concerns I have about us doing that, which is the notion of if we don't promote the likes of, bearing in mind, Cummings is only 2-3 years younger than Engels. Some of those other ones that have left would all be 1 or 2 years younger. If we don't start to do that, potentially our youth setup takes a hit.
Yeah.
Because now we're not developing them from youth in.
Right. Yeah, right.
That's a fear.
No, it's a very good point, because, and we have discussed this very often. We're discussing it as laymen and players that are very low level, so to speak, compared to superstars and top class athletes. But Brendan even mentioned like Dane Murray, who's been promoted now, brought back for Queen's Park, promoted to the first team and got on against Villa, etc. Brendan says he's got all the qualities to make it as a physical qualities as a footballer. He's 6'4", he's got speed, he's got talent, but can he make the mental leap from a B team player or a lower league player to being, as you say, all the demands that come with playing with Celtic? That mental jump is something that can we coach that at the moment, or is that something that you need to have already in you to kick on, like kind of genetically idea, rather than it can be developed, they can make you into that mindset, or do you just need to have it born in you? I don't know. Obviously, I'm just wondering.
That's where you'd hear Rodgers talk a lot about, and you've heard O'Neill talking about the character of players. I know it's a cliche to beat Rodgers up with for a while, but there's a lot to that. You either have the capacity to play in front of 60,000 people screaming at you freely. Not that they're screaming at you freely. You can play it freely in front of them screaming at you, with all the pressure that entails, and perform at that level, and then go and do that week after week. And that's why we see the dips in the Champions League, even with seasoned professionals, the likes of McGregor, who play a Champions League match on a Wednesday, and on Saturday or Sunday they're kind of off it.
Yeah.
It's not physical, it's not ability. It's not that they've burnt themselves out and ran 5k extra on the Wednesday. They just can't get themselves back up there again, Desi. And I think that is inherent. And then it comes with, once you've jumped off the top diving board for the first time, then you can't wait to get back up and do it again. You get bored of it after a while too.
That's it. But again, that Hector, that ties in with we were talking about Kuhn and Jota revitalising maybe the wingers and the forwards. But we've also got that with Engels and Bernardo and Hatate. I know Calmac's a kind of stalwart, but I love like Engels the other day. He's obviously really brought into it now, and he went full Arnie. Hector, I don't know if you saw what he says. We want to crush the opposition in every game.
Oh, right. I love that. I love that. It's an interesting one. I probably didn't mention in previous podcasts, but it was one of the games a few weeks back. And after the game live at Sky, I think it was Calmac and it was Engels with the two guys we interviewed. And I think Calmac was getting player of the match, whether it may be, or Engels, I can't remember. Anyway, they asked Calmac about some words for Engels. And the praise that Calmac gave him, he basically said he's not only a superb footballer who's got every attribute to have an incredible career, he said he's also a tremendous young man, is what Calmac standing next to him. Mm-hmm. And the camera's on Engels' face, and he looked really humbled by it, as if, wow, this is my captain, a seasoned pro, 10 years older than me, club legend, kind of saying this about me. And I thought that was quite insightful, that sometimes you get these guys coming in and they maybe think they're Billy Big Bollocks, but it turns out that Engels is actually no. This is part of him learning his trade, and he's knuckling in 100% every training session, good teammate. It was just interesting to hear McGregor say that, and also to watch Engels' reaction to it. So maybe that tells a part of the story why he's going to be a big success as well.
Yeah, right. You just reminded me of something there, and I actually meant to put it first on the agenda, and it might slip my mind. So, Monty, I am going to come to you next, right? Because I've got something very significant for you. But Hector, you tweeted something which I thought was brilliant the other day, and it was in respect to the whole Jota crying, mental health thing, blah, blah. And you summed up, Hector, why football is important. Because young people should have heroes on the park, should be inspired in it. The romance and the wonder and the beauty of football for us. And
that's what it's kind of about, really. I mean,
so I've just got here Jota equals hero, and I'm just thinking like all the like kids, and I know he's only left under 2 years ago, but even the kind of everything been rejuvenated Jota's rejuvenated the place, I think, and that whole kind of I know people love Kyogo, but Jota's literally, you've went from one icon to another icon, and it could go to another level, and it's just wonderful to see, Hector.
Jota's like that. He's like a cavalier, isn't he? He's just, and the phrase I think I kind of coined was, he's a kind of player that just gets supporters off their seats. You know, and I think football is many things, as we all know. There's too many to mention here, but one of the big things for football fans is to have heroes on the pitch, people who just get you excited when they get the ball at their feet, and he's one of those players. And I think you need every team needs at least one of them. I think Celtic's blessed just now because we've got Jota. We've mentioned it before a few minutes. We've got Jota. We've got Kuhn. We've got Maeda. And we've got, they're all very, very different personalities, interestingly enough, isn't it? Because Dyson's quite a quiet guy. I think Kuhn seems relatively quiet, but Jota's got the panache, isn't he? He's got the personality. And he the Glasgow team, he's got the gallus.
Let's be honest, he's as sexy as fuck. I mean, sexy football.
He's got everything, right? And I think we're quite lucky the way the dice is rolled. Or I'll let Monty explain universe again into 5 minutes' time, right? But I get his point. The cards are falling for us in this particular example, and we might be getting Jota for at least another 3 or 4 years through the peak years of his career, and that is hell of exciting.
Yeah. So I just wanted to take a wee moment just to salute Jota coming back, because I think it is really significant. And I love Brendan Rodgers saying he just missed him the last time, and he's so looking for it. Again, like, it's sometimes you read like managers talking and you just think it's like, but when he says things like, I'm really looking forward to working with the lad to see how I can help him, and you kind of go, I mean, it's going to be even better. You watch him dribbling and against Motherwell then the other night, like it's just wonderful, and I just love the fact that picturing the Kano Waynes watching somebody like Jota. No, that's that inspiration. It's brilliant, right? So that is the wonder, right? That is the wonder of football and the wonderful things that football can do to us. Let's go to the other side of the coin, right? And I've got a question for our resident financial expert here. Monty, you ready for this? How much is Nawrocki in the window, right? That is my question for you. The Celtic board, are they really good at what they do, which is basically annoying us little folk? The transfer window, discuss.
Okay.
Take your time.
Right.
Hector's just filled his glass. We're
he can get his fucking 10-minute nap now. Yeah. Okay. Let's start from the top, shall we?
That's that.
Right, okay, Monty, I asked you a question the other day. Should Celtic be basically referenced now as Celtic are a very good football business rather than a football club?
I think we've always said in these debates that as a PLC they're being run exemplary, and as a football operation it's very hard to argue that they're not also being run up exemplary as well, when you look at the last 20 years of success especially. But let me throw some numbers at you, because follow the numbers. In 23-24, so results to the end of 30th of June 24, our group revenue increased to 124.6 million. That was up just shy. Well, it was up exactly 4.7 million from the year before. Interestingly, our operating expenses increased by 10% to 105 million. So essentially, we make just shy of 20 million profit on 124 million of turnover. It's not bad. It's a decent business. The outlier is the year-end cash position, which is growing, at a huge rate, and sitting at 77.2 million. If we look at the transfers, and again, these are public figures, so it's hard to believe what's right and wrong. But 24-25, the sum total of our player, we're 12.78 million euro in the green on transfers this year alone. Now, what does that mean as regards, like for like, we had 16.6 million of player registrations of what, in 23-24, of which we made 6.6 million profit on. If those figures being reported are accurate, we will have laid out 43.4 million euro on transfers and made 12.78 million euro profit on outgoings. So all of this, Desi, points towards Celtic certainly going past 125 million in turnover. But with it comes a couple of caveats. So I looked at the wages to turnover ratio. With 23-24, our wages went up 8% to 65.6 million. Still, by the way, the second lowest wages to turnover ratio in Scotland. We've invested higher again in the first team. We also extended contracts. But in all of it, Desi, we're still a very, very healthy business. And that 53% of wages to turnover ratio for 23-24, still the second lowest we've had since 2006-2007, when we were spaffing cash, I think, under O'Neill. So if there's anybody still awake and listening to it, we're on track to make record numbers again. Our trading model.
Did we get a trophy for that?
Apparently, well, we won't get the pre-season cup because Rangers will win that. As a business, Desi, other than that wage of cash in the bank, you have to look at this and go, this is a fucking phenomenally well-run PLC. And if you count the trophies, how can you not look at it and go, this is a phenomenally well-run football club?
So, right, here's a quick question for you. Is it a symbiotic? Here's a word. Is it a symbiotic relationship, or is the football club propping up the board, or is the board, because the fans expect the board to be propping up the football club, but it appears to be the way you're talking there. Is it the other way around?
This is well, as was it Lord Nimmo Smith said, there is no direct correlation between having money and winning trophies, because apparently that doesn't happen. It's very clear, Desi, that it is symbiotic. Could we go to the next level of expenditure inside financial fair play, inside the constraints of wages to turnover? For example, let's say we didn't qualify for the Champions League. You have a net impact of about 25 to 30 million falling out of your numbers. All of a sudden, you're making a loss if you don't trade to offset the loss. So right now, we're optimal, Desi. We're trading and making a profit, and we're making the Champions League and making a fucking huge profit. We're at the ceiling of at this expenditure level, we're at the ceiling. We might get last 16. We could get incredibly lucky over the next 5 years and do an Ajax and a Benfica and get maybe to the last 8, maybe even a semi-final like Ajax did one year. But you're never getting to the top tier until you're spending 20, 25 million. Spending it to bring in the finished article. And to tie it back to what we opened up with about Aston Villa, I think I fired it up on our WhatsApp. Aston Villa's front 2 in that game, one of them had a bid on the table of 65, 70 million, and one on the bench they sold for 70 million. And that other guy, Rogers, is going to go for 70, 80 million plus.
Yeah, and then they bring in Marcus Rashford on 400 grand. Yeah.
Okay, it's fucking crazy. So, long-winded way of saying, Desi, we're in the most enviable place as a football club, whether we like it or not.
Okay, right. Okay, I'll come back to you. I've got plenty for you, don't worry. So, Hector.
Can I ask a question?
No, wait a minute, Hector. No, Hector. Sorry, you can add this. I've got this title for you, Hector. No Tierney, no striker, no surprises? ?
It's kind of, it all ties in. It's interesting because you see some people in the media, and not necessarily the crackpots like Boyd and that, because I don't read him, but asking Celtic, what is it you're wanting here? What are you wanting? And it's as if we're demanding the boards go and spend £50 million, and we're all we're saying is, look, Kyogo's a big loss for us. We need, we should always aspire and look to have, if we can, 2 good players for most positions. And the manager was consistent. I watch all these media conferences, on Celtic TV. Yeah, because I just, what it's like, the papers and the BBC website, they'll put a headline up. But it's important you watch the interview just to see the context behind it. He's been saying now for quite some time that he wanted another striker in. And the fans, when Kyogo left, we want another striker in because we want competition for places. Absolutely, he does get the shirt. But we want somebody else in. See, he gets injured, suspended, loss of form. You need a second player there who can push because competition gets the best out of players. And that's what the fans and the manager were asking for. So that was the large-scale disappointment. It was more about, if we got a good striker in, I reckon we'd been pretty happy with it. But yet again, we walk out the January transfer window and we've made a profit. And we're going, okay, that in itself's not a bad thing. But it is when you've lost a fantastic striker and not replaced them with anybody. And it is when you're sitting with the best part of, Monty touched upon, the previous documented figures are almost £80 million in the bank, which will now go through the roof because we've now got the extended Champions League. So the interims are due out the next week, I think.
Yeah.
You're going to have up to December 31st, the new enhanced Champions League, the big increase in cash. And remember, the cash from them, that's pure cash. And right now, we're in the best part of over £40 million, not euros, pounds from UEFA. And that doesn't include our gate receipts for the games. And by the way, and it doesn't include the gate receipts from the games against, I think it was Young Boys, that was January. And this Bayern game coming up on Wednesday. Yeah. And future bonuses this kind of 6 months. So you're going, we might be sitting with somewhere between 100 to 110, £50 million cash in the bank. And what I would say, there's probably 2 things. We mentioned the player recruitment, which overall, I think Rodgers just took us on a step with it. You can clearly see that in terms of trying to bring players in. So 1 was the striker, we get that. But 2, and I've said this before in other podcasts, I put into our WhatsApp chat, Michael Nicholson, and your question, Desi, not who's there, Michael who? Now, he's the chief executive, not just to the shareholders, but to 53,000 season ticket holders and hundreds of thousands of Celtic supporters in the world. When's he going to do an interview and explain him as chief exec, his 3-year strategy for the club or 5-year strategy? Like any other chief exec you'd expect to do of a public business. When's he going to do that? So he can get measured. As he's planning the next 3 years, Celtic's going to look at replacing the South Stand at Celtic Park, which is now, 54, 55-year-old? Is it to try and target the last 16 of the Champions League? What's he getting measured on? Because he's the most silent chief exec I think I can ever remember. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the guy showing leadership, getting out there, being upfront about it, what his targets are, what the club's targets are, instead of what is it he does. He says nothing. He's in the background doing nothing.
Okay, for a bit of context here, because I've got another question for Monty. Bit of context here, just looking at the names and the figures for Celtic's window, right? We bought Jota, roughly 8 million. Kenny returned for his loan. Going out with Kyogo, went about 10 million. Bernabe, 5 million. Loaned in, Sloop from Crystal Palace. Loaned out, Welsh. Bali, he's away. That was a strange one altogether. Odin Holmes away to America, and then Lewis Palmer, right? Strangely, all the figures, Celtic's figures combined, Monty, strangely, Celtic's figures, if you combine them, were actually more than the whole of Spain during the transfer window. Spain only had 21 million in the transfer window, right? So, Monty, I'm going to put a question to you from Hollywood Mick, our New Zealand E-Tims member. And hello, Mick, if you're listening. If we had a better draw, i.e. we get Bayern Munich, if we had a more favourable draw maybe, would the board have spent more in this window? What do we think?
No. I mean, it's just a no.
Sorry, Mick, that's a no. Thanks,
but the question is, definition of favourable, would we have won more points, or does he mean favourable as in more glamour ties? If it's the first one that we'd have won more points, no. I think to Hector's point, signing Matthias Kvistgaarden, who's obviously a player we have interest in, but paying 4 or 5 million euro over the odds for him because we're cash rich and it's January. No, you walk away. You don't need him. We're 13 points clear with 13 games to go. We win 8 more games, we win the league. We've got 2 games against our nearest rivals, and even accounting for if we fuck that, are we gonna lose 3 more?
Monty, I think Mick's question was actually slightly different. I think it was if we hadn't drawn Bayern for this knockout round and had drawn, for example.
Sorry, thank you.
I
was making the analogy just with would you sign more players in the hope, or sorry, would you sign more players when you don't really need them? Would we have spent the extra money on a punt maybe to get into the last 16? No, I don't think the return would have justified it, Hector. I think, what is it, an extra 3 or 4 million?
No, 11 million pounds.
What is it?
Sorry, Desi, it's 11 million pounds. If you reach the last 16, it's 11 million euros. Sorry, payment from UEFA.
Well, in that context, then it's a very, very good question, because then you're at, and I think Brendan Rodgers alluded to it, that the stuff that was on the table he didn't think was overly difficult for the club to do.
Yeah, and that's
what Rodgers was hinting at. Actually, it's a brilliant question. Sorry, Desi, I misinterpreted. In that context, you take that proposition to the board and you say, here, this is worth doing. Cash position isn't affected negatively by any significant stretch. You're paying above the odds. It's a 3 to 4 million euro punt for an 11 million return inside 3 months. You do it. If you're brave, you do it.
Are they brave?
They're conservative.
Risk averse, I believe the business terminology is, isn't it? Risk averse. Right. Yeah, right. So, but then we come to the Dundee game, and then so again, they're the team beating Dundee 6-0, despite the board, partly because of the board, or thanks to the board. You know what I mean? Has what we've seen on the football pitch anything to do with the board, if you know what I mean? Is there this too much here, this join in the fans' eyes now?
I think the fans, most fans see. Listen, we've even on here, we have a running joke, and with them, we call them cunts, which at times they are, but there's no doubt that a lot of the other times they've done a good job. I think where it is, we're Celtic fans, many Celtic fans, I hate saying the terms, we're not with, I know many fans to think differently, but we just get exasperated. We just feel as if, the logical thing to do was to get another striker in. I think that's just common sense. You've lost a great striker, get another one in, because what happens if he gets injured, blah, 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 loses form or whatever. It's just common sense. And they just always this feeling with the Celtic board that they've got to get pushed into a corner. Like, remember the last transfer deadline in August? We hadn't signed them day. We went to Love Street. And remember Law was walking into the ground? A couple of fans fucking approached him. And lo and behold, within 48 hours, he's fucking...
If you stick to the end of tonight's podcast, you may actually hear a wee reminder of that, folks. There's an early warning.
Well, there you go. You're not talking about it's always that they're forced into a fucking
corner. Calm down.
Aye. Rather than... I think we're do you know what? We've guaranteed a Champions League qualifier coming up, just one, where we should actually be favourites, because we're not going to get a kind of so-called top 5 leagues in the playoff, right?
There's one possibility that we'll get a really shitty one apart. Just a 1 in 10 chance, something like that.
But we should be. You're right. We should be. But what I'm trying to make is, but to prepare for that, you should, if it's just 1 or 2 players, and that's all you're talking about, 1 or 2. You're not talking about wholesale changes, just 1/2 players. Then they should be signed as early as possible.
Yes.
To allow the manager and the players to get to know them, to bring them into the club, work through pre-season training, be fully immersed with the team in preparation. And that's the proof, Desi, because we very rarely ever do that.
And that's part of the risk profile that we just touched upon, Hector, and you've just illustrated the other side as to why, if that deal was on the table for now think about this, for an extra 3 or 4 million, like, that's a lot of money, and in Celtic terms, that's a fucking huge amount of money. But to get a striker in now or a winger in now that gets used to the club, because we've 2 Champions League matches qualifiers to play.
Just one.
At the start of
One
the
to win
season.
the league. Just one.
Aye, but it's
We have to.
two left.
Oh, sorry, 2 games.
Sorry,
We've 2 games.
One round. One round, yeah.
We've 1 round of champion. We've a league to win and 1 round of Champions League qualifiers to play. League to win, 13 clear, 13 games to go. You kind of go on. If you're Rodgers, you'd probably go along with that. Look, we can do without. But on the other one, you're thinking, we get a shitty draw here. New boy's only in the door. Ida gets injured. New boy's not up to speed. New boy, your signings typically don't happen right at the start of the window unless it's a deal that you've been working on for 6 months. So, yeah, it when you put the risk profile together, it's money we probably should have spent and got. If it was Chris Gordon, it's money
Right,
we probably should have.
two quick aspects on that. One I highlighted the other day. Edar's get 2 games for Ireland in March.
Yep.
And Maeda's get 4 games before the summer for Japan.
Yep.
So who knows what could happen there. And of course, we're talking here about we want to sign players and bed them in. Come May, you don't know who's going out the door.
Huh?
You know what I mean? Oh, it looks great because you've sold Kuhn for 25 million. But who's filling that gap? Yang again? You know what I mean? So interesting. Right, so that's us. We've covered the window, the border cunts. Let's move on. Right, so we've got Rafe this week. We've got Rafe this week in the cup. Hector wanted the only good thing from my perspective is Schmeichel's getting a wee rest. Apparently he's got a wee back knock, but he should be fine for next week. But the big finish keeper's getting his debut.
Yeah,
We've
mentioned a few times, didn't we? So he was at Villa of all places. They went to Exeter, didn't he? He was player of the season there, and he's part of the Finnish national squad. He's had a few games, so it'd be good to see him get a run out tomorrow. I think we'd mentioned a previous podcast that hopefully we can get the league done. You might get 2 or 3 games towards the end of the season. But yeah, good for him to come in. I expect a strong team tomorrow because Maeda obviously can't play against Bayern. So I think he'll definitely start. Jota's building up his fitness. Expect him to start. And you mentioned the midfield, any 3 of the 5. So I think we'll have quite a strong team tomorrow because you'll certainly want to win it. And I think no matter who he puts out, should be more than capable of winning the game a bit to spare, yeah.
Can Luke McCowan play in the Scottish Cup?
I think he can because he was with Celtic,
sure.
wasn't he? He wasn't with Dundee at the time. It was only League Cup he played for Dundee, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's good, right? So that's Rafe. So fingers crossed everything goes fine. Let's just skip. I'm just wary of time. Let's just skip to the Bayern game. The good news today was 2 parts about the tickets. One, good news is Celtic fans will be allowed to travel to Bayern. That whole scare story disappeared with just a wee 10 grand fine. And the second part about tickets, Monty C. Burns doesn't have a ticket yet, folks. Glory Hunter CSC has no come through this time. If anyone's listening and they've got that spare ticket for Monty, please get in touch at etims.contact@gloryhunter.com and that should be fine. Right.
Ideally, it's corporate hospitality this time.
Well, it always is. That is Bobby Bluebell. He's always in David Lowe's box, apparently. Right, so in finest,
which brings you onto that hole you were talking about for Hector.
Exactly. In finest A-Tim's Champions League tradition, I do have a quiz for you, right? So it's going to be a question for each of you if Ralph turned up, but I can make it 6 questions. Hector, do you want to go first or second?
First.
Okay, here we go. I don't know if you like this. Sieb is what in German? What does Sieb mean in German? In context of this game, Sieb. It's spelled S-I-E-B, but it is pronounced Sieb.
Does it mean cunt?
No, it means sieve. Because I've got a feeling that the sieve might turn up again, and against Bayern. All right, Monty, on to you. How much did Bayern pay for Harry Kane?
Oh, they paid something stupid, like 102 million or something.
I can only take your first answer.
I'm going to say 100 million.
100 million what?
Euro.
Well done. That's so a point on the board there, Hector. Pressure's on. 1-0 to Monty. Right, Hector. You've got the chance of scoring twice here, right? So I'll give you 2 chances. How many goals has Harry Kane scored in this year's Champions League?
Wait, they played 8 games. 6th.
Well done, in like a bullet there, Hector. Well done. 6 goals in the Champions League and only the 19 in the league. So he's only scored the 25 this year. Right? Okay. So in the Champions League, Monty, how many times have Celtic played Bayern Munich? Been drawn against Bayern Munich? Played Bayern Munich. How many times have we played Bayern Munich?
I know we played them twice in recent times. I'm going to say 3, Desi.
We've been drawn against them twice, so we've played them 4 times. Close enough. Right. Hector, can you name any of the 2 Celtic players who have scored against Bayern Munich in the Champions League?
Callum McGregor.
Well done.
And away in Munich, we're 1-0 up before Edmund fucking threw in. Was it
Correct.
Alan Thompson? Thompson?
Well done. Lovely. You came back well there, Hector. So yeah. Tomo scored. We were leading. We were beating them. Then Hedman fucked up for Ron Mackay. Remember? And I just noticed today that was 2004, and they just signed Mackay for 18 million back in 2004. So that's a nice weekend of comparison. And then in 2003, 2004, the 0-0 draw was the famous game where Owen Hargreaves fell in love with the Celtic crowd. I mean, like almost every time he talks about crowds and European games, he always cites that night at Celtic Park and what the impact it had on him. So the best result we've had against them was 0-0. We were beating them 1-0 over there, and we were drawing 1 each with them. We equalised, and then they ran out the park and scored when they beat us 2-1 in 2018. So, what's your thoughts, Hector? Next week against Bayern, keep it tight and try and get them on the break, or do we just go for it?
Desi, I've got their game on the now in the background. They're playing tonight in the Bundesliga. There's only 2 minutes to go. They're home to Werder Bremen, and they're 2-0 up. And in all honesty, I didn't realise how physically fucking big they are. No. You know, you think they've got flying wingers, they're actually they're enormous. As well as they're in quality. So it's an interesting one, right? The reason I'm saying that is because when we went away to Atlanta, we proved we can do things slightly differently. But also, unfortunately, missing David Maeda, who's been incredible the last wee bit. But we're at home. I think we've got to make sure we're in the match. And what I mean by that is that at least a draw. Always want us to win, but we've got to keep it competitive. We can't just sit back and defend at home. We just can't do it. Inevitable happens. It's not how we play. It's not how we play anyway. I think we've got to take it to them, but in a controlled manner. But what they'll do, they'll press the fucking life out of us. Watch them tonight. They will press the life out of us. It was really interesting. What they do, watch tonight's game, as well as pressing the life out of you, they play such a high fucking line against you. And I think if we can just be on our game and pick out right passes, I'd imagine Jota or Kuhn or Ida, there's half a pitch to run it. If we can just get the ball off from a good position. So they're strong favourites. Let's not kid on about it. They should beat us over the 2 legs with a bit to spare. But I would take it to them, Desi. I think that's how we will play. We'll try our best to take it to them without going gung-ho, if that makes sense.
Monty, Bayern beat them 4-1. Aston Villa beat them 1-0. So there's a chance there, isn't there?
No.
Correct. Moving on. The voice.
I think for us it's a free hit. No different than Villa was a free hit to see where we were. And the fact that it's over 2 legs. If Maeda, your granny of balls, should be a granda. We'll miss Maeda on Wednesday. But we get to see where we are. And I think that's the progress. Mission accomplished. We achieved the objective this year. We come out of the new revamped Champions League format and get into the playoffs. And that right now is our ceiling. Add 2 more 10 million plus players, keep the nucleus of what we have, maybe even add 3. Now you go for the next level. Can you get through to the last 16? It's a free hit, Desi. I don't think Bayern will be too troubled by us over the 2 legs, but I'd love to be wrong, Desi. I'd love it to be against Real Madrid. Just go out and go for them. Sorry, Hector.
So I was just sorry to interrupt you there. I mentioned their power and physicality, right? And they're just like bar 1 or 2. But see the 1 or 2 that aren't fucking physical specimens. It's somebody called Musiala.
Musiala.
He's a number 10 who just covers every blade of grass in the ground. And see, what worries me the most about them is the pace they've got out wide.
Yeah.
They've got flying machines, not just the starting wingers. The guys on the bench who come on, and I've got a guy called Kane at centre forward who's not got the blessed with great pace. It doesn't matter. He's between the lines in this kind of 6-yard area. And then they've got fullbacks. One in particular is it Davis, who's in the Canadian squad along with Alistair Johnson. So that'll be an interesting one. He'll be up the same side as him. They've just got that much pace and power. But I think they'll beat us. Of course they will. Let's make it competitive at home. Let's give them a game at Celtic Park, right? And let's see where we are.
Okay. Any predictions? What are you thinking? I'll go first. I'll go for 1 each.
Celtic Park 1 each.
Yeah, I'll go for 1 each. What do you think?
I think we'll get beat 2-1 at home.
I think we'll win the game. I think we'll get a draw, Desi. I think we'll get something out of the home leg, and we'll, you know what's going. We'll lift all our expectations up to the following week. Then it'll be 2-0 up in the first fucking 7 minutes.
That's that. Right? And then the Zeb will turn up in Munich. The classic Celtic Civ will turn up. Trusty will balls it up, and then something will happen. But yeah, it's Monty said, it's a free hit. We're back in the game. Get a go, and we'll see what happens. My only worry would be, again, the referee, how stern are they going to be? Are they going to let things go, or is it going to be always seem to get the referee who dislikes to say, here's a book and here's a sending off? But we'll wait and see. Sadly, Monty does not have a ticket, everyone. So once again, anyone, please contact etims.gloryhunter and let us know if you can get him a ticket. Right, so that is Celtic, right? So the last thing on my agenda is, come on, you boys in green, right? And that is in respect to Birmingham. We're talking about a whole. Hector was saying it's a whole blah, blah, blah. Hector, your Philadelphia Eagles are playing in the Super Bowl, I believe, this weekend. Is that correct? Would you like to just give them a wee shout out? What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? Are you shitting it from the old Kansas City, superior Kansas City?
No. Listen, and there's a very, very quick story with this. And I like most people of our age group, when there was only fucking 3 or 4 channels way back in the day. Channel 4, I think, picked up in NFL. And I watched it. It was blah, blah, blah. I watched it. Went and did a wee bit of work just outside Philly for a couple of weeks. And it was a weekend we were playing New York Giants. And I went to the game. And that's when I kind of took them as my team. And they were shite. They hadn't won anything. I think they won the Super Bowl in 2017, which was the first time ever they'd won the Super Bowl. So they were only the best. They were in a really strong division with the Cowboys, who were good for years, Washington, and New York Giants. So anyway, answer your question. Eagles are very, very good, right? But they're playing Kansas, who've been brilliant. This is their third Super Bowl in the trot. They've won the last 2. So they've got a guy called Mahomes, who's just unbelievable. But the Eagles, I've got a guy called Saquon Barkley, who's a running back. They never had a couple of years ago when they lost the final, Super Bowl 2, Kansas City. Eagles are better overall in terms of defence and offence, but Mahomes and the coaching staff with Kansas are a different level. So my head says the Eagles, my heart says the Eagles. The Eagles are going to win it by 10 points.
Do you think if the Eagles had Dyson Maeda playing as a running back, they'd have a better chance?
Aye. You know what? He would do that. You know he would do that, wouldn't you? He could do that job, no bother. I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that it's Sunday night and Disney finished at fucking 2:30 in the morning.
At your age. Right, so Monty likes he thinks he's doing with the kids. Monty, do you know who's doing the halftime show this year?
Belinda Carlisle.
Close. Hector, do you know? I had to look at it.
I do know, and it's escaped me. Is it
Dr. Dre, isn't it?
Is it classic politicians answer us.
No, is it no one of the kind of rap artists?
No,
it's Dr. Dre.
Hold on. Is it one of those rap artists?
No, one of the rap artists.
Do you like the PlayStation?
You know what I mean?
Sounded so Jack and Victor there. Is it one of your rappers?
No, I'm that age, right?
Dr. Snoop or something. Dr. Dog.
It's no Snoop or Eminem. Right?
Snoop Dre.
Kendrick Lamar. Is that the one you're looking for here?
It's fucking close. What you want?
I couldn't have told you. That was part of George Bowie's 10 question things earlier. My daughter sent me it and I said, I don't know. who is doing the halftime show. I usually take the halftime show. I usually last the first half and then make sure the halftime show is recording purely for my wife to watch it the next day. And then wake up and get told that the team that were winning at halftime get gubbed by the end of the game. That's what seems to happen in the Super Bowl.
For our 3 listeners, right? If you get a chance,
Jordan is 2 dunks.
If you get a chance, regards to the halftime show, nobody laugh about it, but actually, there's a halftime show that Prince did, God bless him, way back in the day. I think it's when the Super Bowl went to Minneapolis. And you've got to watch this. It is fucking unbelievable. And it's live. It's none of this miming shit. He's got the guitar out. YouTube, Super Bowl Prince, unbelievable.
Monty prefers the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction.
That was a decent one, to be fair. That was decent. But Hector's right. That Prince in the rain, the purple rain, is just fucking immense. Only, I think Tom Petty's halftime show is close to it.
I am shocked. I honestly thought Hector would have went for the LA show with Snoop, 50 Cent and all the rappers, Eminem and that recently, because that was a classic. Mary J. Blige, God bless her. I thought Hector would have been into that.
Prince beats them all, Desi. Prince beats them all, man. Amazing.
That's true. U2 isn't bad. Just don't get me started on Coldplay. Right, so that's us. So
no, it's no. I left this to the very end. There's one thing you've missed, Desi. One big thing you've missed off your list tonight. Right? I did ask you before we
went on air.
But we never thought about it until we had the conversation tonight. So for you two, big event over the weekend for a certain Celtic player. Callum McGregor, 500 appearances. Desi, summarise Calmac, your time watching Celtic.
He's been cruising into, let's be honest. He's been getting away with murder for quite a while now. That's just me reading Twitter at the moment. Calmac. Do you know what I love the most about the Calmac thing? I love when they show you all the photos of him as a Wayne in the Celtic gear. No, that way that and the ball boy and that whole journey. And it's just amazing. And I know Tierney almost done it the same, but he moved on. But Calmac's like, and he went away and done the whole. Again, we were talking about Daniel Cummings the other day, and I mentioned it would be good if the pathway director could find a good loan deal for Cummings to go and do exactly what McGregor did. Go away and strengthen your football. Go away and strengthen your experience and come back and run a deal years like that. You're going right into the team, son. No, that way. This is brilliant. And he epitomises, you say, leading by example, talking about Engels the other day and inspiring the next generation. The guy who's probably could ultimately move him out the team. He's not there sitting going, I want to make sure that young competitor gets shelved or whatever. He's doing all he can to bring the next generation of Celtic superstar through. So, again, 500, hopefully he gets to 600 at the very least, because there's still plenty of football in them and he can start maybe edging his way back. But carry on and keep doing what you're doing, Cal, in my opinion. You're doing it great. And he's been a revelation since Bruni moved on. I think he filled in big boots and done a great job.
Fine word, Desi. Monty, how about you?
He's going to become the most decorated player in Celtic's history, I think, which leaves him then, in a probably uncatchable and insurmountable place in our history. There's nothing you can say about his contribution that hasn't already been said, apart from maybe I thought we were stronger when he was injured and Matt O'Reilly played the number 6 role.
Right in the ribs, eh?
No, the guy's just modern legend, one club man. And as Roger said, the perfect example if you're Daniel Cummings or Dane Murray, or dare I say even a Ben Doak, who's going on to better things, I guess. But you leave for a few more quid, or do you want to be an absolute legend here? And Callum McGregor has made all the money he will ever need in his life. So why leave that with all of that adulation and legacy behind you? Just immense, Hector. No words.
Sorry, Hector, before we get your words on it, you're lovely. I know you'll give him the highest praise. Can I just say, I think he also scored one of the coolest goals against Rangers anyone will ever score. With the Dembele's wee lay back and he just side foots it for 30 yards, for 30 yards into the bottom corner. Every time I see that goal, I just smile with sheer joy. On you go, Hector.
No, I was just going to say that it's interesting. You'd mentioned his time at Celtic, which is often forgotten about. It's not as if he signed them at 17 or 18-year-old. He actually genuinely did come through the academy. When we say the academy, I think he's 8-year-old. So Callum McGregor's been through the Celtic academy from 8, what is he now, 31, 23 years or so. And your point, he went to Notts County with Jack Grealish, who was on loan from Villa the same year. They both were in the same team for a season. And you're right, the development they got was great. Comes back to Celtic. Ronnie kind of puts him, I'd say, more a wide midfielder stroke winger initially. Yeah. And it wasn't really till Rodgers came in that he gradually moved him into that central mid position. I think that was the change that really galvanised his career and cemented where he would really become the player he is. But many years ago, for a laugh, I sort of kissed him the Scottish savvy, because I think he is. I think he's football intelligence. And what I mean by that is awareness to see what's round about him and find space, especially in that condensed central midfield area, is incredible. And the technique, it's like bump. And very rarely do you see him taking more than 2 touches. And it's usually 1 or 2 touch bang, like the metronome. I just think he's been phenomenal player for us, phenomenal captain. And another final thing for me about him is he seems such a humble guy. And I love that in a player. We mentioned Jota being garrulous, but Jota's garrulous in a nice way. He's no garrulous in that kind of, try to put somebody down way. He's garrulous in a positive way. I think Callum McGregor's an extremely humble guy. And I think he'll go down in our history as one of the all-time greats. And by the looks at you, right, Monty, I think he'll probably win the most trophies ever. And final thing, does he not hold the record for, is it number of appearances in the final, never lost one at Hampden? Is that right? There was something ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
It is, yeah. He's never played, no, touch wood, he's never played in a final.
19, I'd be guessing I thought about my 19, yeah. Yes, so well done for reminding me there, Hector. Yeah, Callum McGregor. I was joking the other night. If Fergus McCann was still there, he would have charged Callum McGregor for that framed shirt, and he'd have actually Fergus would have happy because he'd have made more money by charging for the 3 numbers on the back, for the 500 on the back of the jersey, and with old Andy Walker. So that was So yeah, and you can tell, as you say, Hector, you can tell with the admiration somebody like Rodgers has got from him. Every manager's had it for him, so to speak. Yeah. They've always held him up as the epitome of a Celtic professional, of what you're needing, and he's really stepped into being the focal point of the team as a true captain. So well done, Callum. Congratulations. Long may you continue as a Celtic captain. All's going well. Right, so I think that is us. So all goes well. We're playing Rafe tomorrow, fingers crossed. Quick score predictions for tomorrow then, Monty, Rafe Rovers.
I think we'll be comfortable in the game, Desi. I think probably 2-0, 3-0.
Okay, Hector.
4-1.
Well, I was going to say the same. I do believe Rafe will score tomorrow, the same similar to Falkirk. But yeah, I'd have thought maybe 4-1. I'll go for 1 each at half time, and then we can kick on in the second half. And then hopefully get a few guys off for Bayern on Wednesday. Hector, you and I will hopefully be there enjoying myself. Monty, you can watch it on the telly. I think it's on TNT Sports. Aidan McGeady may be in the studio, who knows? No, I mean, so we'll wait and see. Right, so as always, this left for me to thank everyone for listening. As always, we're going to end with, as usual, a word from our marvellous sponsors and an outro song. There was a few contenders for outro song, of course. Jota on the wing, You Got to Have Faith, Guess Who's Back. But in salute of the transfer window and in honour of that 10-minute Martin Lewis impersonation that Monty gave us the night with all those facts and figures, I'm going to play one for Michael and Peter, the chairman of the board, as we like to call them. So that'll be the outro song. But it's just left for me to say, first of all, thank you to Hector Bandido. Thank you, Hector.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And thank you to Monty C. Burns. Thank you, Monty.
Thanks, Desi. Thanks, lads. Appreciate it.
Okay, folks. My name is Desi. Good night.
Big Tam's Gallowgate Emporium. Proud sponsors of the E-Tims Podcast 2025. Does your arm hurt after raising it like Jota for hours on end? Just quote the code Jota for a 70% discount on all elastic bandages, ice packs, and mustache trimmers. Big Tams. Helping you impersonate your heroes since way back when Jan Willy Maley hats were the fashion.